means to fight ALS, and I could not be more amazed by your trailblazing new paths for ALS in the medical field. And with your helps and because of your efforts, we will find a cure for ALS. And so if you were here in 2019, or if you saw his video, you might remember how my dad started his speech off with a Bible verse. So in a lot of things like I do, I thought I would try and be like my dad. So I'm going to start mine off with one too, but it's going to be a little different. So Joshua 1:9 says, "Have not commanded you, be strong and courageous, do not be afraid, do not be discouraged, for the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go." Ever since my dad was diagnosed in July of 2019, I have struggled to stand by that verse. Unfortunately, I already knew what ALS was when he was diagnosed. My step-grandfather was diagnosed and passed away from it at age 86. I already knew about Lou Gehrig and Stephen Hawking. I already knew that my dad was handed a death sentence. God had just handed him his timeline, and I said, well, looks like God will be seeing you soon, but don't worry, Daddy. He'll be welcoming you with open arms and Bud Light Limes. That was his favorite drink. It was Jeremy Affleck gave him a lot of shit for it, but he loved all the light beers. So every day before that day, I believed I lived the best life. A simple and easy life. I had incredible parents. My brother wasn't always that annoying. And we had everything we needed, and we were able to make so many happy memories. It was really easy to be strong in those days. It was easy to be there for others, and it was easy to look to the hope with the future. Look to the future with hope. With a dad like mine, I had so much to look forward to. And no offense to all the remaining athletes here, but there weren't many guys at my dad's age, or any age, who were in better shape than my father. And all my parents called my dad Barbie and Ken. Obviously for good reason if you've seen my mother. But on that day, I didn't want to follow God's commandments, and I didn't want to be strong. I didn't know how I could be. And it seemed like it was impossible for anyone to be in our situation. I just wanted to crawl into a ball and scream and cry because I didn't know why this was happening to my family. And like any little girl, I wanted to dance with my daddy at my wedding. But God had other plans for me, and that was really hard to accept. Everything that I had hoped for and dreamed of was now being washed away. I remember going to a wedding a month after we realized that something was seriously wrong with my dad. I had a great time that day, and everything felt normal up until the father-daughter dance. And it struck me that I would never get to have that with my dad. I even joked with myself that I would have a shotgun wedding with my boyfriend or something so that I could squeeze in all of the milestones that he would miss, and maybe even force him to do some of my future taxes. But that wasn't God's plan for me. Even though it would have been fun to invite my dad to my shotgun graduation parties or my shotgun bachelorette parties. I mean, Kevin knew how to throw a party back in the day. And throughout his 18-month battle with ALS, I learned how to be present and take in every little moment I shared, not just with my dad, but with the rest of my family and friends. And for those of you personally touched by ALS, which clearly is a lot of you, I think that you can understand the shift in priorities. If you've heard his speech, you might remember how he asked if you were ready. And I don't know about you guys, but sometimes that question frustrated me. It frustrated me because my dad was given the blessing of time. Time to understand what lay ahead of him. Time to tell those he cared about how much he loved them and appreciated all that they had done for him or meant to him. And at this point, most of us aren't given that blessing of time or understanding of our purpose on this planet. Regardless, I learned the importance of slowing down to take those mental snapshots of the simple, stupid things. Like yelling at my younger brother Michael to get off the video games and come hang out with me and my parents. Because now he's following my dad's footsteps and joining our incredible military. Only this time, Michael chose the dark side and attends a Naval Academy. And as a total daddy's girl, I will always be repping the black and gold at Army Navy games. So sorry, Michael, but go Army. My dad put it perfectly in 2019 when he said that ALS was a disease that affected more than just the person who had it. Nothing could be more true. It's easy to see the negatives in that statement, such as the pressures and burdens it puts on family, friends, and caregivers. But when you look closer, you can see how ALS has brought all of us closer together. In August 2019, my parents and I went to our first public ALS event, the Giants ALS Day. We were scared that someone would see us being recognized out on the field, since we hadn't told a lot of people yet about my dad's new disease. It was our first event where we said, yeah, this is happening, and this is our life now. This sucks. But it wasn't long before Mr. Crawford and Mr. Piscotti made their way over to us. And even though they kind of kicked me out of my next to dugout seats, I'm really glad they did, because of them, we have found new friends and new sources of inspiration. Yes, they were. Thank you. These two guys and their amazing families have already made leaps and bounds in the ALS community. But they invited my family into the intertwined world of baseball and ALS. Together with a coalition of other families and organizations, we were able to make Lou Gehrig Day a reality. But if you know these guys, you know they don't ever like to do anything small, and they never settle. So with the rest of Lou Gehrig committee, these guys were able to trailblaze the way to making LG4 Day an annual event. This new holiday to me is so much more than recognizing and honoring Lou Gehrig and his legacy. This special game day will tell those battling ALS today and in the future that we see you, and you're not alone in this. And to those that passed from it already, it says you're never forgotten. ALS is not an incurable disease. It is simply underfunded and lacking in understanding. My dad's diagnosis was hard on me and my family as I took on new roles as caregivers. But there were some people that stood beside me in the hardest of times. And you know I wouldn't be my father's daughter if I didn't say a few thank yous. So, right here it goes. My younger brother Michael, who couldn't be here today, was my partner in our middle of the night shifts for caring for our dad. Michael had found inspiration in my dad's love for our country, so he recently began his journey of service at the U.S. Naval Academy this summer. And at this moment, Michael's probably thanking God that he's done with plebe summer, or boot camp from hell if you don't know what it is. And even though he's not here, I want him to know that I am beyond proud for the way that he's not only serving our country, but the way that he served our father with duty, honor, loyalty, and love. And then there's my boyfriend Nick, who was my shoulder to cry on over the phone during the pandemic nearly every night. I unloaded a lot of my pain, my anger, and my frustration onto you, and you just absorbed everything, no matter how hard it was for you to. You supported me, you gave me all of your comfort through all of my stages of confusion, anger, and grief, and I could not be more grateful. And then last but not least, there's my mother. She's kind of cool. Mama, you showed me what it meant to really stay true to till death do its part. And your consistent resilience to try every possible drug and treatment available was inspiring. I will miss the fun times that we had during shower times and bedtimes with Daddy, because I love the way you made him smile, or the heart that he would form with his hands, and the look that he would give you with his eyes to tell you he loved you. Thank you for keeping him going, Mama, and thank you for keeping me going, too.
Very good.
And then this one's just going to have to be short and sweet, because I don't know if I could do a true Kevin Heller kind of thank you. But I want to thank my dad. Thank you, Daddy, for being the best father ever. You taught me a lot in 20 short years. And I know that there's still so much more that you wanted to teach me, and I love you and miss you dearly. Ew, there's a bug on my iPad. So, it is from the absolute bottom of my heart that I say to thank you to all of those who participated today, and I wish that I could see all of your beautiful faces, and thank you for so much bearing with me in this cold and in the dark. Your participation on the golf course, the auction, volunteering, or just coming out in general means that ALS has touched one more life. And so as my dad's story and legacy, every voice and every dollar mean that we are closer to ending this once and for all. Lastly, Crawfords, you know I'm a big fan of this event, and I always will be. but I hope to God that you find a different cause someday.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
And Mr. Biscotti, I know that you're going to make sure that happens. Both for Gretchen and for Kevin's sake.
Yes.
So I want to say thank you again for letting me share my story. It has been an honor and an absolute dearest pleasure to speak to you all tonight. Thank you.